WVU and Neal Brown are getting serious, folks. If you didn't already know, WVU and Neal Brown were in a serious relationship. Well, now you know. West Virginia University commits to Neal Brown until 2026, giving him a contract extension, giving him more money, keeping him around a bit longer. And on this episode of Mic Drop here on Pittsburgh Sports Live, and of course, WV Sports Now, I'm here to tell you why they made the right decision. I'm here to tell you why they should want Neal Brown to stick around. And they were right to give Neal Brown this contract extension. Because I know there are WVU fans out there, I'm seeing you, I'm hearing you, that aren't too excited about this deal and maybe don't fully understand. Let me try to clear things up. So I get it. An 11-11 record. I get it. Not all that impressed with it. I get that. 6-4 in the 2020 truncated year. I get a bowl win over Army in a Liberty Bowl. While it's a bowl win for Neal Brown in only his second year, that's certain progress. It's a bowl victory. Those aren't guaranteed for a program like WVU. They've learned that the hard way before. And that's over a good Army team. But besides that game, many could say that Neal Brown hasn't won that big game yet, doesn't have that staple win yet. And there were years left on the deal. So it's not like he needed a new deal or he'd be unemployed. There were years left on the deal. Why do this now? Why not let him wait in the wings one more year? It's still his contract. Why not let the contract play out one more year, decide then? Why not make sure there's progress from over 500 to a little bit more, to maybe an 8-win season if they play the full thing, to maybe a better bowl game? Why not wait and see? Well, they don't have that luxury. And it's not necessary when you have this situation, because this is basically as clear as it can be, guys. This can't be any clearer now. There's no more discrepancy. And of course, when Neal Brown was hired after coming from Troy and the tons of success he had at Troy, WVU was a logical next step, a logical major program that would make sense for a guy like him, a young coach. There was excitement for the fan base. There was excitement for media. He's ingratiated himself to the media, a very likable guy. Don Nalen and him became friends. They talk. The program and him got along. He seemed to fit in with Morgantown and West Virginia University. He didn't seem to be a guy that wanted those bright lights and wanted to get to a USC or a major market and be in a major city. He seemed to like being an hour or so away from Pittsburgh. It's an okay top 25 city. I'm living there. He liked Morgantown, though, seemingly. Seemed to fit there with those people, with the culture. He got it. He liked being there. They liked him there. That was the situation. And then, of course, that first year didn't go well at all. But I think some are not giving the full credence to he inherited a rough situation, to say the very, very least. The program in flux, the polarizing effect of Dana Holgorsen finally parting ways, and how that went down after many thought he should have been let go despite the early tenure success. And he eventually makes that decision going to a program like Houston. So it's arguably not really a step above. Didn't really look good, I guess, for the program. Maybe some underachieving there towards the end. You don't get anything really of note in terms of winning out of a quarterback like Will Grier, who seemed like a pro prospect the second he walked onto your campus. He's gone too, by the way. He's not there for Neal Brown. You lose a lot of veterans from your defense. So the cupboard was kind of bare. The program was in flux. There was really not the harmony that you would want. But that's why you got that type of job. If that job had harmony, if everything was great, if they're winning major bowl games, the job wouldn't have been open in all likelihood. Or wouldn't been open, I guess, maybe still with controversy, but it wouldn't have been open in the same situation. It would have been maybe a better situation for you to enter, I guess. So you have to go take that into consideration as well. Many who are around this program, very, very close to this program, said that year one for Neal Brown was really year zero. To be fair, they were calling it year zero because how can you really judge him off that year when he's starting something anew, trying to rebuild the program, and the program was such in flux and kind of bare when he entered, and of course his player's not there. He runs a totally different offense than Dana Holgorsen. Maybe some similarities, but it's not the same thing. And he touched on that in his opening press conference. And after that year was so miserable, he came out with that fire press conference at the end of the year, guaranteeing bringing the program back to glory. And that riled up the fan base. Okay, you like hearing that, but you didn't like the results. And then you go to last year, and yeah, over 500, yeah, a bowl win. But there were some games they kind of gave away. They could have maybe been better at times. But I also don't think everyone's taking in totality what went into that year, because I spoke to Brad Howe, who's very connected to the program, of course, who's a colleague of mine at Metro News. And he told me how not only is it really coming off of year zero for Neal Brown and how many close to the program called that year zero for Neal Brown, but also to the fact that the Vic Koenig situation had just occurred. In fact, go back to the archives of Pittsburgh Sports Live and also WV Sports Now. Search Brad Howe. Search whatever you have to do to get to that show. It was a lengthy conversation, but it was a really, really quality program that I had with Brad Howe about that. We were both really honest in that conversation. And he touched on how that was a hard decision emotionally for Neal Brown. The team's coming off of that decision. It was a really rough offseason to have to deal with after everything that happened the year prior and taking it over under the situations and not winning. Of course, the pandemic involvement there really could lose the locker room. Neal Brown had to make that decision. Shane Lyons proved his trust in Neal Brown and how much they were in lockstep with each other by trusting Neal Brown in only his second year, before even at that point, coming off of 1 year, to make that decision, make that hard decision. Handled it well, made sure he didn't lose the locker room. That defense played themselves up and played really, really well. And the defense was one of the best in the country most of the year and was the best in the country at one point early in the season. And again, that's without their defensive coordinator and that whole thing being in flux just separately. So you take into the situation that's been dealt with in the offseason. You take in a situation that he inherited. You look at 11. You look at 11-11. You look at under 500 in the Big 12. You look at only the Liberty Bowl. Maybe you're not thrilled, but West Virginia University loves Neal Brown. Neal Brown wants to be at WVU. Are you really going to get that much better of a guy when you have a guy that loves being there? He was one of the most underpaid coaches in the Big 12, and there are worse coaches out there who have actually won less and don't have a bowl victory this past season. He does. Again, they beat a solid Army team in an okay bowl game that has some history behind it. It's not like it's the worst one in the world, even though, of course, the program has seen better days. But you have to rebuild things to get there again. The Big 12 is a tough conference. I'm not saying you should just be satisfied at 7-5 or 6-4 or whatever. But Neal Brown has it headed in the right direction. And yes, you might want to see more to really cash in. If you don't do this, you were going to lose him. There were rumors of South Carolina. There were rumors of other places. He wants to be at WVU. That wasn't really going to happen. There wasn't tons of validity there, but there were rumors. There were other teams that were going to be interested in Neal Brown, and somebody would have hired him if he didn't start getting the money that he's worth, if he didn't start getting a legit deal, and if he didn't get something like this. And again, I get it. 11-11, only a Liberty Bowl win. You're not that impressed. You're going to say something like this. His resume doesn't say it. He's early in his tenure. You got to give him time. He wants to be there. He's a young coach. He has a great resume overall. He's won before. He's won everywhere he's been. This is second head coaching job, of course. That includes Troy. I get it. This is a step above that. But for me, he has the program headed in the right direction. I'm not going to throw him in the Hall of Fame or say anything crazy about the guy or Coach of the Year yet. We need to see more, of course. He does need to keep this progress up. It's not unheard of for a coach to be fired before a year's over, before a deal's over if things don't improve. Not saying they're going to do that, but he can't sit on his laurels by any means. He needs to keep having this program headed in the right direction, and it won't be easy the next couple of years, of course. But I get extending him. I get the money. I get doing the deal. WVU loves Neal Brown. Neal Brown loves WVU. They're in a serious, committed relationship. They are committed to each other, folks. They're in this for the long haul. And if you have a guy that you love, that you are committed to, that you know you're going to give time anyway, you know your program, you have that awareness, you already have trusted him to make tough decisions. You're Shane Lyons, you're Neal Brown, you're in lockstep with each other, you trust each other, you have a great working relationship. Why not cash in? Why not go all in? Why not make this commitment? Make sure he doesn't even have a thought to go anywhere else. Make sure he doesn't feel disrespected anywhere else. Make sure you realize that your program is headed in the right direction, that you did have a big step up from year one or year zero to now where you are winning a bowl game is a good thing, even if you thought maybe you should have been in a better game. That then would have been a major progress that maybe would have been ahead of the curve for reasonable situations with where this program was when he took it over. And I do believe Neal Brown will get this program back to quote unquote glory, to whatever that may mean, to legit bowl game contention and to better days. Does that mean winning the Big 12 with how hard it is? I don't think so. Does that mean a national title? Very, very unlikely based on this current system. But WVU can certainly be better off than they currently are. They can expect more. They want to at least get into a bowl game similar to this one, to the Liberty Bowl next year. You don't want to take a step back. You want to be above 500. You want 7 wins, maybe 8 wins. You certainly want that next year, and I get it. But he was one of the most underpaid head coaches. He has brought this program up from the dust. He does have it headed in the right direction. He is a damn good coach. He's shown he can do it before at a previous program winning at Troy. He's a young guy. He loves the place. They are in this together. They love each other, and they have the relationship. Why not stay together? Why not make the commitment? I like the decision. I like the timing of the decision. I really, really do. And if I didn't, I would tell you, folks, I'm not necessarily easy on coaches by any means. Okay, I'm not trying to give the guy a pass. He needs to keep this up. But I get WVU's commitment to Neal Brown. I believe in Neal Brown. I don't know if you do, but I think the university does, and that has been shown. So Neal Brown gets his reward. Yes, he needs to do more. I get maybe wanting more. I get not wanting to be satisfied. But the marriage between WVU and Neal Brown continues on. It's getting even more serious, and it makes sense. They fit together so perfectly. Want to remind you, hit up our family of networks, of course, all throughout the Pittsburgh Sports Now family of networks. Of course, follow WV Sports Now at WV Sports Now on Twitter. Over there also on Facebook, and, of course, WVSportsNow.com for my man Cody and company, knocking it out there with the coverage of news like this. And also make sure to subscribe. Hit that subscribe button, bottom of this video, Pittsburgh Sports Live. Follow us at PSL on Twitter, at PGH Sports Live on Twitter. WVU and Neal Brown, they're in a really, really serious, committed relationship, and I'm glad they are. They fit together.